Hello, baby. I'm back. I will do a rap for you again. Baby, I joined the group for you. Please do listen my heart. Please. Hey, hey girl, please send me your number. I'm very part-time plumber. Sometimes I become very dumb. Please send me your boobas baggers number. Hey girl, please send me your number. I'm very part-time plumber. Sometimes I become very dumb. Please send me your boobas baggers number. I have joined baby in this group. Nothing baby, just for your boob. Please send your.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome to another edition of the Liberty Report with Adam Maxwell from the Liberty Rising Group. We are here, October 8th, and we're going to talk about digital IDs. That's the title of the podcast. I'm going to get into the recent Georgia protest. I'm here in Tbilisi, so I was here during and so I wasn't there, but I mean, I was like at my house, of course. But like I witnessed it on the televisions and I heard about the aftermath and like what was the jazz and all the talkings about the situation. And what else are we going to get into, Adam? You're muted, by the way, brother. Sorry.
Subversion. Agenda 2030 and its missing keystone, a digital ID. If you strip away the branding, you're left with governance by a centralized database, which, by the way, government databases tend to get hacked and leaked. But it's a world that is where who you are is welded to what you may access. An operating system for human permissioning. And of course, what they're lording over you so far is you will need our government ID for our government digital ID, which is just a progression from the state ID. But the difference is, if you don't have state ID, okay, maybe you get pulled over driving a car, you might be in trouble. But with the digital ID, you can't work without our permission. You can't get a bank account, any thought crime, any comment they wish to make can go onto your central database name and things, and we know that they will not wield it for what they intend to. This goes on to Agenda 2030, which is this UN initiative. Ostensibly, they say things like there's 25, 30 different Agenda 2030 things, and they're all entirely subversive in terms of they'll say, "Oh, we want to reduce CO2 emissions," and that really means you're going to have CO2 credits, maybe, as an example, where now that's going to be linked to that can be linked to your digital ID. And if they track that you have exceeded your CO2 allocated limits, all of a sudden you're going to be disallowed from traveling, maybe flying, etc. Many kind of things that are available here that are very scary for a private company and just atrocious for the government.
Yeah, I have a case study that it's in my that's in the book Unleash Your Inner Sigma Male for those that subscribe to the Locals channel. The links in description, but if you're on Rumble, you can click join. Rumble 3 as the streamer down is giving you the promo code just coming up now. Rumble 3 gets you $3 off your first month's membership. And you get access to the book. I talk about Facebook regarding the digital ID before this came about the ethical and practices of Facebook and how data has been breached. And I discussed the SWOT analysis of what happened and pitfalls and things with trust with Facebook, because basically Facebook is more or less you're freely putting your information, your personal information, your whereabouts, your places you check in, to anybody that wants to view it, be a stalker or government entity or anybody in that nature. I mean, you're completely naked to, any type of thing that you do. So I mean, they can see everything. They read your messages. We know this from Snowden, of course, that disclosed this and why he left and went to Russia and hiding. Because he was exposing the deep state and the fact that they can monitor and look at anything they want to look at, relating to your messages through the Defense Authorization Act. There's the actual name. It was on the Patriot Act. They basically were allowed to wireless taps and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it's interesting that you bring up with flights, because recently, right now in the United States and in Europe, there's been a lot of shutdowns and delays and cancellations of flights due to the government shutdown in the United States, due to Trump's shutdown, because of he's wanting to get certain types of policies passed, and he's trying to basically get rid of the fat, if you will, and the spending in the United States. He's wanting to get rid of agencies that he feels are unnecessary or could possibly be a threat to his presidency or his administration or future leadership with the Trump mega movement. But more or less, right now, air traffic controllers are now being affected by the government shutdowns, apparently, in the United States. But this has been ongoing for a little bit, actually. It's been ongoing in Europe. So I don't know what's going on in Europe with that. I don't know if you know, Adam.
I wish the government shutdowns would reduce the tax burden required of ordinary Americans.
Oh yeah, and it's not. I mean, basically, they're those that get rehired, like those that don't get laid off under Trump, under the presidential or executive order. They basically come back with a free vacation, a paid vacation with interest. So those that return, they get furloughed and they come back and they get paid every penny. So they get basically a paid vacation on the taxpayer's dime.
The government shut down, but your tax burden remains the same. It's as a libertarian, oh no, the government shut down. Good, shut it all down. But no, they just want to close it for a few days for whatever reason, and it doesn't. Yeah. Personally, I'm in favor of government shutting down permanently.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'd be great to have it shut down and no one get paid. Save the tax dollars, save the taxpayer some money. But yeah, I mean, more or less like the digital ID, we could definitely see like a lot of abuse, which we've already seen before. So it's more of a system of control. They basically want to use the digital IDs in order to control, monitor, like the Minority Report. It's dystopian Huxley's Brave New World type of society, or a 1984 style society. Pick either Huxley or George Orwellian type society, either way in literature. So like this is literature becoming reality and life reflecting literature, so to speak.
Well, the other thing about the difference between Orwell or 1984 and Agenda 2030 and digital ID is, in Orwell you're surveilled by the TV in your house, and it's it's scary. You got to find a dark corner of your room where the TV can't see you, but really it knows. Whereas today you've got Amazon Alexa spyware, you've got backdoors in most of your technologies, you've got a phone that's with you 24/7. That's listening to you. The microphone already is listening to you and reporting that. And you've got all sorts of greater cyborg integrations with technology, and it's much more difficult to get around it. There's also an expectation that you will have a smartphone. So we saw with COVID, get the COVID passport. You go into a restaurant, they say, show me your QR code or show me your ID, and you say, well, no, I don't have one. And they say, well, get out of here then. You're not allowed to eat in our restaurant. So whoa. So for example, let's say that you've engaged in a legitimate protest against the government, and they say, right, we've got you on CCTV in the area. We're going to sanction you. 2 weeks, no restaurants. And so you go into a restaurant, and they've also mandated that you got to check the ID of everyone that comes in, because we're going to monitor. There's a heightened security. Okay, so you go in, they scan your digital ID to sit down and eat, and you've been marked. You can't eat for 2 weeks out. You can buy your groceries, but very, very limited. And this of course, it sounds dystopian, and I don't anticipate this arrives in 5 years. But what arrives in 5 years will set the stage for 10, 15, 20 years. And we've seen similar in China, where if your social credit score is too low, you will be banned from travel. You cannot buy a train ticket if your social credit score is a certain level. Whoa, all of a sudden I'm locked into my area. I want, like, I got a family member I want to go see. I want to go for a little vacation to the nature. No, you're stuck in the city. You're stuck dependent on our services, on our digital ID, on our permissioning.
Sorry, got tricked ya. Alexa, does the CIA monitor my conversations? Oh, I got you guys again. Continue, sorry.
But it's convenient, right? You have one seamless login, you get safer payments, fraud-proof ballots, right? Instant benefits. One person from the Liberty Rising group chat, he says a very, very prescient comment he makes, which is, when they will announce a mandatory dildo up everyone's ass, everyone will still be doing nothing, just complaining about how bad it will be online, using a VPN because they would be arrested for spreading misinformation without one. Yeah. Once you are in this hyper conditioned matrix, as they are in Britbong land, it becomes much more difficult to resist. You become, it's slavery by no other means. They have the exclusive right to tell you what to do, and you will obey, because failure to do so will hurt.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, more like in that you brought up with the surveillance, like with the Georgian protests recently, they apparently failed to storm the presidential palace. I don't know why. I mean, it was crazy, but opposition leaders told them to go out. We had mayoral elections, local elections here, and apparently they decided to clean the streets right before mayoral elections and open up roads. So I was suggesting maybe we should do mayoral elections every other week. That way we have clean roads and roads that are opened up so that we have less traffic. But I mean, that's only, I mean, that's just normal, you know what I mean, in a society. But yeah, more or less, like they're using surveillance cameras. They have and continue to use surveillance to arrest those at protests in Georgia, put them in jail. Long, lengthy sentences, you know, unperson them, all kinds of good stuff that we've already mentioned. And similar to what happened to Gonzalo Lira and Ukraine, that got unpersoned and then arrested, and then obviously died in the custody of the Ukrainian authorities, waiting trial. I mean, this is the new society we live in, and that was you know, state-sponsored terror from the United States government under the Biden
I thought that
regime.
the Georgian government was more libertarian, less totalitarian in the West than America, than the UK, than any European country in the EU. I thought they're much more benevolent. But you're telling me that all governments, all state governments, have the same playbook, including surveillance, centralized control, badge dissent, especially outsourcing legitimacy to international narratives. You're telling me that that's just modernization, and even if the labels change, even if you live under a better government, the logic remains constant.
Wow. Yeah, and more importantly, I mean, the thing is that when the government comes out and says that the protesters are provocateurs of the deep state, that's what the government officially said, and to the public, that the deep state is the reason why they tried to storm the presidential palace and why they are, you know, in opposition and protesting, which makes no sense. Why would the deep state care? I mean, it's what it
Well,
is.
the Georgian deep state, or are they
No,
alleging
the U.S.
an
deep state.
EU?
They're basically
Yeah.
saying that the deep state in Europe and America and the global elites are trying to take out the Dream Party, who's the current power and the current party in power right now, and that's the deep state that's causing the provocateurs and the protests. And like at first, I was like, yeah, maybe that maybe there were some provocateurs from the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, because there was some suggestion that maybe they wanted to open up a second front with Russia from Georgia. The opposition party was not, the United Party that was in power before doesn't really like Putin, doesn't really like Russia. I could see that they did have a good narrative, but the Ukraine war is pretty much done at this point. I mean, it's towards its climax, I guess. What is it? Our boys Alexander pretty much pointed that out, right? He said that it's pretty much coming to its climax. Alexander from the Duran recently said that.
Yeah, I mean,
He follows the channel, so I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, he knows.
the war will continue until they run out of bodies, and they're running low.
Yeah, and ammunition. Not on both sides. They're running not necessarily ammunition, but they're running out of personnel. I wouldn't say necessarily on Russian side, but right now, from what I understand from Russians that I've talked to that are not the wokey progressive types, they're saying that the economy is not really good in Russia right now. I'm just telling you straight up from what I'm hearing from Russians. They're saying it's not very good. They're saying a lot of people, and this is going to happen, guys. I mean, this is war. I mean, this is what happens when you're a wartime economy. Same thing with the Iraq war, with the Afghanistan war. At first, people were behind it. They were like, rah, 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 I'm going to sign up. There were people that were enlisting to go to Iraq and Afghanistan because they believed in the rhetoric of the government. And now in Russia, people are like, I don't really care anymore. I just want the war to be over. Because now people are actually being affected in Russia. They're being affected economically, as well as Ukraine, through the help of the NATO, is hitting targets inside of Moscow and Russia.
Specifically,
Yeah.
Ukraine, they're engaging on an energy campaign. So in Belgorod, they're attacking Russian energy. And the Russians are bringing out generators, transformers to try and boost the energy supply in these regions. My understanding is that what they're hitting is not so much like domestic Russian energy distribution, although sometimes it is, but the things for them to export. So I don't know how effective it is, but I'm sure it's frustrating. I think
minor nuisance, but it's still affecting some level of regional.
And Russia have said, look, if you attack our nuclear reactors, you're much more dependent on them. We'll do it back. And if you're going to attack our energy, you're much more dependent on your more vulnerable energy grid than Russia. We will hit you back. You will suffer. We don't want to do it. Stop attacking us. But of course, Ukraine says, Russia have an unprovoked invasion of our country. And now we have to do everything that our Western paymasters say. So, I think, there, of course, there's economic impact and harm and damages. But I think my perspective is from the Russian frame, and one can say, Adam, you're not Russian, you're not there. Rich for you to say, but from an objective, I think that more value-free analysis, and I mean, I have my biases, which is mostly against the UK. So you can say, well, Ukraine is pro that, so you can critique my critique, but certainly I think that the Russian conflict and the Russian position is justified. And so there's economic harm and pain, suffering, rising costs, sanctions, all these things. My personal belief, for what it's worth, is that this is justified and righteous and will pay off in the end, but so long as the morale survives now, which I think it will. The Russian spirit. I mean, this is what the Germans expected in World War II. If we just inflict horrendous pain on them, the government will surrender. They'll retreat into the Urals. We can take over the heartland, and they stuck it out right to the end. Lost tens of millions and drove all the way back to Berlin. So
Yeah, and that was Barbarossa and all that good stuff, and like Russia's always been Russia and Europe have this interesting relationship and dynamic. You get these authoritarian people in power, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and go after Russia. It's like everything's like, let's just go after Russia. Now I've got the power and the
it's a
personnel and
great
the money.
it's a
Yeah.
great boogeyman and latent threat. What
Mhm.
they do is they need some kind of narrative, some kind of threat, especially your
Well, the boogeyman.
security.
Yeah. Hmm.
And they did this back in the 17th century. There were these
Hmm.
Polish nobles, I believe Polish, could be Swedish, and there was domestic concern about their power, and they said, "We need our power because look at Russia. Russia's threatening us." And they said, "Yeah, Russia is a threat. Let's empower these local noble elites, and bolster ourselves against the Russian potential menace threat," and they consolidated their power. I don't know quite the full extent of that historical narrative, but the point is that for centuries this has been going on. I mean, Napoleon, he went to Moscow, not the other way around. One can say, look, the Russian Empire at one point was further west than Warsaw, but I just
They
don't see the
both.
aggressive policy since.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
both generally
USSR,
like Russia has throughout its history has basically annexed certain territories that surround them.
uh,
Obviously, yeah. But
it's
the
all
main thing
about
is Europe.
security of the homeland, and they've done that.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Europe is just as bad, and these, like I said, from France to Germany, they're like, let's go ahead and try to take Russia, let's try to take Moscow, and it's like, it's a why? Just they're a defensive country a lot of times in these wars. Leave them alone. They literally, if you left like World War II, if the Austrian painter left Russia alone, or the Soviets alone, not necessarily Russia, but left the Soviets alone, I don't think they would have did anything. I mean, maybe they would
I
have
don't know.
waited until.
It was kind of a clash of
Yeah, it was
yeah,
obviously they didn't like each other. They didn't like the Soviets didn't like fascism. The fascists didn't like communism. But yet they were the
Bolshevism.
same
Yeah,
socialists. Yeah, yeah.
it
So
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's similarities in a lot of ways. Yeah.
So I'm not too sure about that, but certainly World War One is very silly. I think the conflict.
Yeah, yeah.
What I wanted to say was, so I don't know what the domestic situation is like in Georgia right now, but back in 2010 to 2014, Ukraine had a prime minister called Viktor Yanukovych. Now he was
Mhm.
pro-Ukrainian, and he was, I believe, non-aligned. And the Wikipedia says he stood for economic modernization, greater economic ties with the EU, and military non-alignment. Now, for these horrendous positions, the West and the EU and Washington said, "Oh, he's pro-Russian." It's like, no, he wasn't. He pushed for the EU trade agreement, but
Mhm.
then he receives the offer, the EU trade deal, and he looks at the Russian trade deal, and it's like 5 times better. Like Russia is
Mhm.
providing all these economic benefits that would have been hundreds of billions more, and he said, actually, it's a better deal to have the Russian one. In fact, it's going to be way more difficult for us, the Ukraine, to accept the EU deal. So actually, uh, even though I'd like greater EU integration, the Russian trade deal is better. And this is when and there was some domestic unrest about that, but there was a massive CIA subversive network too.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
of
where
course.
they activated that, and then they fueled it, and then they sent in snipers, and that's
Yeah.
how they overthrew Viktor Yanukovych, and they called him pro-Russian. Now there was some domestic unrest at his decision. I'm signing the Russian trade deal, but this was not something that he. It isn't pro-Russia. This is being pro-Ukraine. So I don't know
Mhm.
how it is in Georgia. Um, I understand them to be labeled as pro-Russian from the EU and the liberal democracies. But my belief, my ignorant understanding is, I think they're pro Georgia, and to be pro Georgia means to not be anti-Russia as a principal policy. And I think that's really what they what the
That's
liberal
100%.
democracies mean.
That's 100% it. Yeah, basically the government is like Russia's the largest trading partner of Georgia right now, followed by Turkey and the EU. And we get a lot of cheap gas here from Russia and a lot of cheap energy and different types of like trade. They buy a lot of Georgian goods and vice versa. It's a trading partner, it's a trade deal. And right now, Georgia is one of the main countries in the region that's benefiting the most from the Ukrainian war. More so, I would say Georgia. Like, if you were to ask what country is benefiting the most from the Ukrainian-Russian war, you heard it from my lips. It's Georgia. Georgia is the one that is benefiting the most from the Russian-Ukrainian war. So it's not necessarily that Georgian dream or that the Georgian government or the people are like pro-Russia, because they really don't like Russians. I mean, they're Georgians. They have a kind of an interesting relationship, and the relationship has been kind of tethered because, or kind of tattered, I guess, because the '08, Russo-Georgian war, and it's just there's a lot of bad blood between Georgians and their regional neighbors, but they still trade with them, at the end of the day, and it's business, bro. Like we talk about here on the podcast before, it's business, guys.
bro. It's a massive empire right on your border. They speak kind of familiar languages. It's right there. The transport logistics, very easy.
Yeah, borders open, stuff's going back and forth. You know what I mean? But it's funny because we were talking about it the other day with my American teacher, the person I work with, at one of the colleges that I teach at, and he was talking about like everything's got to be like Russia's fault. You know what I mean? Like anything like the car breaks down, and damn Russians, they did this, or internet's not working, it's the damn Russians. Gas shit's shut off, it's the Russians. It's that Russia-phobia.
There was a hilarious one where Ursula von der Leyen, I think she flew to Bulgaria, and she said, "Oh, the Russians are jamming my plane," and Bulgaria comes out and says, "There's no evidence of that. I mean, it's jam the plane."
This goes back to World War II, though, Adam.
And they said the Russians said we didn't even care that you were flying it. We didn't know, like whatever. Bulgaria said there's no evidence of that. And it's like, it's probably a diversity pilot who was like,
some alcoholic pilot. Yeah, I mean the thing is it goes back to World War II.
It was before World War II.
Exactly. World War I, World War II.
You say the first Crimean War, which is
I
say this one right now is the second Crimean War, but mid 19th century. Yeah,
I'm talking about like the phobia, like they used to have in World War II. Well, that's what I mean. During World War II, the Americans would say that whenever planes didn't work or like there was disaster or something happened, it was Japanese gremlins and the machines. And it's the same thing here in Georgia with Russophobia. It's like, like I said, the joke is like my car didn't start this morning. The damn Russians did that. It was the damn Russians that did that. The gasoline did not work because they were putting water inside the gasoline that we buy from Russia. They sabotaged my car. Literally, this is the stuff that I will hear from local people, with the Russophobia kind of thing. Yeah.
So I think that what you're saying about Georgia right now is quite neutral, value free, and shouldn't be too controversial. But
correct.
If I were saying these kind of things about the government of the country where I'm from, and if someone were to report that to the authorities, I could go to prison for pointing out obvious truths like this. Now, that can happen with or without digital ID, but with the digital ID central database, if I talk about things, things like, we're just talking frankly. We're not agitating for anything. We're not saying anything that's controversial. I think we should have these open and honest discussions, conversations about what's going on. Under digital ID, I would be afraid in Europe, in the UK, and in the USA, which have had these slides backwards in democracy and human rights. I'd be afraid that someone, especially some deranged leftist, will take that and just report it. There's an anonymous tip line. It's now linked to your name. They're going to find your digital ID, and you're going to have sanctions against you for wrongthing.
You know where this started, right? You know where this started?
Go for it.
President Bush, Patriot Act. You see something, say something. This was the
Mhm.
policy under the Bush administration with the anti-terrorism, whatever the hell that is, that we know was probably made up. That was propaganda to get them involved in, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I'm not going to say it is what it is. I'm just saying that I'm speaking. I don't. You know what I mean? We don't know who was involved or if like they were actually government intrusion or anything. I'm not getting conspiracy. I'm just saying that the propaganda was there. They were pushing the war. They were making money off the war, and it was big money into the military-industrial complexes. And obviously, Dick Cheney and Bush benefited in some way, either financially or politically, socially, because Bush got a second term because of the war. So, obviously somebody benefited from it, and it was predominantly one-sided, and that was the Bush administration and their cronies and donors and special interests. So the deep state is true. I mean, the deep state is the special interest. It is the NGOs. It is all that. The Dream Party that came out and said it, the prime minister said deep state. This is what I heard because I don't speak Georgian very well. I heard it from other Georgians that that's what he had said. So I was trying to break down and tell them that, yeah, the deep state, they're like, what's deep state? I don't know what this is. He was talking about deep state, in Georgian. And I'm like,
I think that
yeah, basically, go ahead.
just the simplest definition for deep state is when the governments change, who remains. So the permanent administration, the moneyed interests, supranational interests pushing things. When the government change, if it switches completely, who is left behind? That is the deep state.
Mm-hmm. It's people that are immovable. They're the people that do not leave their positions. We see this with the EU, with the European Council. They have unelected people that run Europe. They're the ones that hand down the policies and a lot of the financial policies as well. And these people are appointed to permanent positions. It so happens that the former president of Georgia's relative apparently is one of these members that's permanently appointed. And I don't know how that was a conflict of interest being the president of Georgia, and the fact that your relative, i.e., direct sibling, is a full-time member, permanent member of the European Commission. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And that's where I was like, I kind of see what the Dream Party's saying. I do kind of see they do have a point. There is deep state in that regard, and that's not cool. And they removed her from position. She refused to leave. That I agree with. I'm like, okay, you have a point. But, now that they're like arresting protesters, just college kids being stupid and not knowing what they're doing. And at this point, there's no way that they're paid actors or NGOs. There's no way. These are just dumb kids, college kids that are going and doing this stuff. Because it was said on the college campus. They're like, oh, they're going down there and doing this. And everybody pretty much knows that it's just a waste of their time, that nothing ever happens. And, yeah, go ahead.
I can believe that the college kids are the ones doing it. But my question is, the impetus, the propaganda, the people pushing it. Yeah, there are people on the ground doing things and they're not necessarily connected to the conspiracy. But is there a higher conspiracy pushing towards this that is fermenting and directing on a propaganda propaganda-subversive level for these things?
Yeah, this is what I was saying before, or not necessarily to you, but what I had gathered and what I had talked with students, and I was pretty much saying that under the Biden regime or the Biden administration, they were heavily pushing this agenda. And I think that there was some provocateurs, and there were still NGOs here, before the foreign agent bill that was passed here. That's really not really a foreign agent bill. It's kind of a baby bill compared to what the United States has, or even the UK has for that matter, because they have a different bill I think it's like an anti-terror bill or something. It's kind of like their foreign agent bill that they just arrested a couple of colleagues, or a couple of, not colleagues, but journalists on. There was one that was talking badly about the Palestine conflict, or ill of the Palestine conflict. And there was another alternative journalist that was arrested coming back from some kind of convention in Moscow. You know who they are. I can't remember off the top of my head, but those that are viewing probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and that's basically all it is. It's system control. The digital ID is just going to make it worse. It's going to make it more convenient for the government to find you and to arrest you and to survey you based off of that.
And to control you.
Yeah, that's it.
That
it's a system of control.
Your ordinary life, things that no government, no other authority has any entitlement to interfere with. They can and will interfere with it. They'll have, this is the vector for control. As I said, travel. We talk. There's proposals for 15-minute cities. The slippery slope is not a fallacy. If you're in a 15-minute city, you will be locked in that 15-minute city. Not always, but they can turn it off and on. No, you don't have the. I mean, in Russia, I think they can limit where you travel to. They can say you're only allowed to go and stay in Moscow region. Now, Russia, this is a country they are pushing for digital ID, and there's some pretty scary surveillance things there, especially for foreign. And even without it, just regular ID, you don't have free reign to travel around the country without government permission necessarily. I don't know too well because I don't live there.
In the GCC, like they have checkpoints everywhere, all over, and that's part of that war and terror thing, because there's crazy people, you know what I mean? There's these Al Qaeda types, or what it is that you know what I'm talking about. They're all over the checkpoints just because that's a safety issue. And they don't even really care. They're just checking like to see who the hell you are, if human trafficking or running stuff, It was more of a safety concern, than it was so much about control, because they didn't even care. They're just trying to make sure it's a Sharia law country. So especially at the checkpoints, they don't want alcohol and pork and stuff coming in. So, because it's a very strict Muslim country, or countries, if you will.
In the liberal democracies, we don't have good governance. We don't have effective governance. Someone said to me the other day, Adam, why don't you just move to America? I said, I don't trust the Americans. Not only have they been actively complicit in my persecution, they're if you enter America and you've said something bad about Israel, not only do they have the now authority to deny you access, they're bragging about it. If you say something we don't like, we'll either arrest you or kick you out of the country. So people say to me, Adam, they have the First Amendment. Why don't you try and move to America? You'll make a good salary. And I'm like, are you look, I don't have an American passport. I don't have the funds to get to America and survive. But even if I did, it's such a massive risk because they're not dealing with security and good governance. It's ideological control. So just coming back to the Georgian Dream, I just want to make a point, which is that I don't know deep state involvement, but I do recognize that what the deep state and what these interests tend to do is the essence, rather than in America, allegedly they've been paying protests to do things, but in terms of the clarification of motive, what they urge to do, the theory behind it, that they do fund NGOs to talk about how we should overthrow the government and how terrible, or not even just how terrible they are, and they'll lie and say the Georgian Dream. And again, I don't know if they are or aren't, but they will say they are pro-Russian because they're not pro-EU enough. They'll say, that the Georgian Dream, as I understand it, suspended EU accession for 10 years or something, because the EU was threatening them, saying, oh, if you don't do exactly as we say, we're going to impose sanctions and prevent you from joining the EU. And so they responded and said, okay, look, there's going to be a 10-year block. It won't happen in this time anyway. We're not ready. We'll build relations in this time, but now you can't use that as a stick to beat us with. Right. And of course, all the NGOs that are funded by these, by the Western deep state, global elite, EU, Washington. Again, I'm not sure, but they will take these real aspects and run with it to build these narratives, which may have kernels of truth and may even be true. But the point is that you can take anything and paint it into anything else, and you ferment and incite, and you get to the point where you have what I consider to be milquetoast, moderate, right-wing conservative figures in America, say, who are murdered, assassinated for being evil Nazi fascists. And you're like, well, hang on a minute, how does someone come to believe that? And you say, well, actually, it's the deep state or leftist Soros types painting, inciting, and it's this narrative over so long that induces this psychosis in the population. You say, okay, look, can I hold the Wall Street Journal or Jezebel criminally liable? Jezebel, 2 days before that individual was assassinated, they said, yeah, we've paid witches to curse this person, hex on them, and hope they die. And then they get assassinated. They pull the article down. Now, are they criminally liable for demonizing this person, which may or may not have contributed to at least the narrative that resulted in his assassination? Well, no, but are they, should they have some liability, some responsibility, or at least can we point fingers and say, well, that's even if it doesn't meet the standard for criminal liability, they're evil, they're lying, they are against us, they're doing things that we disagree with. And if you're the government and you want to use power to crush dissent and do all the things that governments love to do, then it makes sense for you to wield the power of the state in an aggressive manner, because that is what nation states do. Their definition is to exploit this aggressive, violent power and inevitably abuse it.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is society, man. I mean, but the thing is these cycles, these 100-year cycle, 50-year cycles. I mean, like I said, 100 years ago, if it wasn't the Russians, it was the Japanese or the Germans. So they just, it's whoever the demon is, whoever the boogeyman is. At the end of the day, we're all pretty much, part of the same compost heap, as they say in Fight Club. And I mean, we all stink. We all, like, our farts smell. And I mean, the thing is like, we're all kind of the same people. I mean, it's just, it's retarded. It's retardation at, like, the highest levels. I'm sorry, I don't want to get censored on CensorTube, but, like, yeah, you know what I mean. It's just fake and gay. That's the reality.
And it is, and you talk about these cycles, but technology is progressive. We've never been in a situation where we could have this digital ID, where we have so many vectors for surveillance control.
World War
and
passport with World War One.
They brought them in. They existed beforehand. They brought them in as more, and now you need a passport to travel. It wasn't before. But the point is, I just talked about how governments naturally, you look at the definition of government, they inevitably abuse centralized power. Okay, great. Let's give them all our data and give them this extraordinary, unique, unimaginable in the past, unprecedented vectors for control, surveillance, and permission. Right? You want to open a bank account? Well, that happens now anyway. I've been sanctioned. I've been blacklisted in the UK. I don't have a digital ID, but I need to get a new identity because my one has so many black marks against it for nothing. And my black marks. I went up to the United Nations and they said, "Yeah, we're not touching this." I'm like, "What are you talking? Why not?" I said, "Yeah, we're not giving you a reason. We just, you've been blacklisted." I said, "Well, I got human rights." No, you don't. You've been blacklisted, mate. Okay.
So the question I have, and this is
the special rapporteur for justice against blacklisting. I say, "Hey, I've been blacklisted." They go, "Ooh, yeah. Well, we're not getting involved. Good luck with that." Like, oh my god, this is how disgustingly evil these centralized powers are. When we're talking about Agenda 30, that's a UN initiative, and these are evil terrorist criminals. Go ahead.
100%. I agree with you through and through, and I think a lot of influencers, a lot of alt media people are pretty much in agreement as well. The question I have, and kind of like a prediction, if it hasn't happened already, with the mega movement, in the Trump administration, do you think that they're gonna use digital IDs in the sense that, are they gonna use this illegal immigration and mass migration of illegals in the United States to push the digital IDs? Because I think that that's a very certain possibility in the U.S. That's how they get pushed. Just like Trump used the COVID vaccine, and then it was pushed again by the Biden administration, by the deep state, because it was created by, probably, like I said, it's all business at the end of the day. We know that the COVID vaccine, was basically created by the big pharma to make big bucks, just like the big military industrial complex, So with this digital ID, someone's going to profit from it. They wouldn't do it unless people are making money at the end of the day. But the thing about it is how are they going to push in the United States? And I think that it's very possible to do it through the legal migration, through the mega movement, because the retards. Oh, sorry, not retards. The mega guys will be like, yeah, let's push digital ID to get these Mexicans out, and the whole time they're basically just screwing themselves, because the same people are the preppers, the same people are like, nomads, and they're like, anti-government and all this stuff, but and like at the end of the day, they're just like, oh well, Trump's our man, we trust him, and the mega movement, and let's push digital ID to get these Mexicans out and these illegals, and really they're the ones going to be going to gulag. That's what I think. I think they're the useful idiots, but what do you think? You mute it, bro, just a little bit. Here, I'll mute you.
I can't find the meme. It was a very good one. It was Joe Biden saying, "I'm here to invite the chaos," and Donald Trump coming in saying, "I'm here to be the savior," and then to introduce the New World Order systems of control, so you'll accept and tolerate these things. So that's what I think about MAGA. Certainly, we've seen that in the UK. The government has invited as a systematic policy, wanted these migrants in. I mean, the level of immigration, legal immigration from 2020 has been insane. I mean, the past 200 years of British immigration in 5 years, something like that is the statistic.
Oh, it's the same here in Georgia. It's the same here.
Plus,
they're complaining about it. Yeah,
illegal immigration, and the illegal immigration is a stick that that they say, but the legal immigration really makes you feel it. Now, the illegal immigration is an issue, especially in America. I mean, we're talking not just millions, but in the tens of millions.
It could be possibly in the hundreds of millions. Yeah,
I've heard.
Least. I mean, not hundreds of millions, but you know what I mean, like up to 100 million. Just like 500,000 people living in America now.
Like from the statistics I've seen, I think it's around 50 million seems reasonable. Illegal immigrants in the USA.
That's a conservative estimate, I think. Liberal, it could be probably in the hundreds. 100,000, 120,000.
And that's really important. But everywhere else also, it's also the legal immigration. And
that's what I mean. That's conjunction with legal. And then the thing is people do come in legally. They do come in on they come through the process, but the thing is they lie on their applications, and they lie on the application for citizenship, which is actually written in the administrative code that if you admit or you lie, they can actually take your green card and your passport and your citizenship at any time because you lied through omissions. And that's what I was talking about with Trump, is that he could do that. There's a lot, and I believe he's building a case against these, but at the same time, who the hell knows? It's all special interest. I don't believe that. I think that
there was some crazy story where ICE or the Department of Immigration, they looked into like a town. They're like, 50-70% of the immigrants here have engaged in some kind of immigration fraud.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the Iowa school district principal earning $300,000. Lied on his immigration form, or was an illegal immigrant himself.
Well, they also have like certain incentive programs too between states where they claim that they have ghost students, like they have students that are there, or they may say that they're legal immigrant students, and they basically are like family with people that are migrating throughout the country for work, and they're not there. And they're still getting paid because they're getting some kind of benefit from it. That's a story that's probably going to break soon. But
so if you're looking to
a lot of fraud's going on all over and all levels. Yeah.
If you're looking to deport and get rid of and mass deportations, oh really? Well, how many have been deported so far? Tens of thousands. Okay, we want to do hundreds of thousands. Okay, we want to do millions. We want to deport 30 million people. How are you gonna do that? I mean, that's a lot of people. The easiest way to do it is let's introduce a digital ID, and then if
that's what they're gonna do. We already called it. That's what they're doing. They're gonna do. Let's just say that you guys
flag.
You can't
all these
do it.
People get them.
No, you can't. Guys, listen, you heard it on the Liberty Report, on Liberty Rising Group, and the Straight Talk podcast. Professor Red Pill, Adam Maxwell, we're telling you right now, the digital ID in the United States, and it's going to happen in Europe as well, because Europe's got their migrant issues as well. The digital IDs is going to be pushed by the mega administration, by Donald Trump, and he's going to use the guise of the illegal immigrants in order to push it on you, because it was already planned before he became president, because he was selected. He wasn't elected. Just letting you know, elections are fake. They're not real. He was not elected. It's fake. He was appointed, and he's going to push digital IDs on the masses, and he's going to use the migrant crisis as that. And we may see an economic crisis also, which is going to push that agenda, because just like the '08 crisis, what happened with the '08 crisis? Who they blame? Illegals and minorities, and they're going to do the same thing. They're going to say the reason why the economic crisis happened, the reason why all these cars are getting repoed and going to Mexico, and the reason why all these the fake loans and all this ninja stuff, it's because of the Mexicans. And we need digital IDs to verify that these accounts are genuine, that these like applications for for loans are legitimate, and they're going to push it, guys. You're going to get digital IDs in America. It's going to happen. It's going to be pushed by the mega movement, and the useful idiots are going to push it. Just let you know. And like I said, I voted for Trump. I was a mega guy. I'm not part of that movement, but I did support some policies with Trump, but it doesn't matter who I voted for, because at the end of the day, I knew that it's going to collapse eventually. It's but authoritarian control. It's special interests that run America and the world. It's not the people, not we the people. We don't run shit. Money runs the world. Business.
The Palantir eyes in the sockets of every machine. The car that drives itself, the card that pays itself, the phone that speaks without your voice. We can Palantir your entire digital presence. Every electronic device, every website that you ever visit, every image you ever download, every store you ever pay at with card, not cash, every friend you visit, because we're monitoring your SIM cards and their interactions or proximity. We will monitor where you drive, as all modern cars have spyware. We will listen to your speech at home, not only with Amazon Alexa, but also your smartphones spy on you. We will backdoor your health devices and apps. We will keep everything on our central ledger connected to your digital ID. We will know everything we want to, everything we need, and wrongthink will be punished. Any dissent will be punished. Conform, conform, conform. Now get in line under the boot and start licking worm.
Crazy. Did you make that up, or was that someone else that quoted that?
That's my poetry on Liberty Rising. I published
That's
that
awesome.
September.
Wow, I like it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. It's good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. I kind of want to tell it to my students. I want to read it to them, tell them what they think. Because we're still doing Brave New World. We're doing Dystopia, Brave New World. So I think it would be good.
And the other thing, there's one message after that is, and you shall thank us. You will thank us. It's for your own good. It's for your protection.
The COVID vaccine.
We do this for you. Your safety is at the forefront of our policies. We protect community or national harmony.
Yeah, was it Dystopia? Was it the Brave New World? Stability. There was 3 different pillars, and it's like it sounds great and wonderful, but really, it's like underneath, it's like the 7 parallels of hell. It's like it's utopia, but underneath, it's like no, it's really dystopia. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome style stuff. The caste system, but yeah, it's crazy stuff. We covered everything. I think we got exactly what we needed to cover, and you guys definitely I know Adam took a break. He had vacation, so like it is what it is. And I've been busy the last 2 weeks. I just started the semesters with a couple of different places, so I've been busy. But yeah, we'll get back to it and get you some more content with locals and his locals and our respective channels. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight. And if you have any questions, suggestions, definitely put it in the comments. Like and subscribe Adam's Liberty Rising Group. Those are in my description, and you can like and subscribe him on YouTube and other platforms that he's on. But visit the Telegram forum, because we get into some funny stuff there, and we got a lot of memes and Adam likes to post a lot of stuff as well that's relevant to, his liberty movement, the Liberty Rising. So I don't know. We're in some dystopian times, guys. I think we're at that cycle where fear is going to be setting in soon. I think we're in some 1984, not necessarily Brave New World. Brave New World is what we were coming out of, but we're headed towards a 1984 style, Minority Report style society. I think Alice in Wonderland. How deep's the rabbit hole going to go? Because it's already been exposed. We've seen it with a lot of different things in the news media. I'm not going to really repeat it, but one starts with an E, ends with a Steen, and we know that one's pretty bad. So and people just said, oh well. Oh well.
Well, why are you still talking about it? It's been years.
Yeah, it's I mean, everybody's been pardoned, forgiven, so like, don't worry about it, man. I mean, shit, what are we still talking about that for? Are you what? Yeah, but vital thoughts. I mean, the thing is just stay stay vigilant, and definitely don't take any influence or any of these these jackals words. Take them with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of people that are controlled opposition. There's a lot of people that you're maybe following. You may be like, oh, that's cool, that's nice stuff, but really, when they get off the puppet strings, you see how quickly they try to gather them and do what they got to do with them, unperson or assassinate. So I mean, you got to be very careful with people that you're following, because they may say some really messed up stuff, and they might be trying to change your world viewpoint, and trying to control or get you unpersoned. So it's best to be a nomad. It's best to be kind of like a person that can do their thing, man. You can just sneak out and do where you got to go and move on in a moment's task, bug out bags, all that stuff. I'm not saying prepper stuff, but just definitely be vigilant and definitely figure out how to live a nomadic lifestyle if you can. That's probably the best way. I mean, especially with women, just be MGTOW, dude, and be vigilant if you have to. I'm not telling you to live that lifestyle, but that's kind of what I do. So Adam does it a little bit differently, but he does it in its own way. Any final thoughts, Adam? We let everybody go.
Stay vigilant, do not comply. The important goal is less system dependency. Maybe that's done by you have your own little homestead away from the cities, more soil and self-sufficiency. That's what I personally go for. Being nomadic also means you're less tied down, less dependent on the system, and that's really the way to get through these things.
Yeah. Magnets work for the digital IDs as well, I think. Right? All right, guys. Take care. Enjoy. I got some stuff I'll be posting, and Adam will as well. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully next Wednesday. I think we're gonna get back to consistency with this. But take care.